My name is George Maniotis. I am a history professor at Muskegon Community College and also the director for the Center for Experiential Learning. A lot of you are going to say, well, what is the Center for Experiential Learning? Well, I don't know. Many of the older students in the crowd, the non-traditional students, the ones that are going through life's lessons, can probably attest to the time that you sat in a history course and your head probably hit the desk because you fell asleep. Of course, some of my students, they always fall asleep. No, not with me? Well, thank you. I will pay you later. One of the things we often notice, when we talk about things in history, you saw pictures, you heard a lot of talk, but you never could experience anything. So the Center for Experiential Learning, what we do is infuse trips, lectures, author talks, and other elements to try to make history and the social sciences, including political science, anthropology, economics, and other disciplines, come to life. We were lauded by the New York Times newspaper in 2014 as one of the best collaborative institutions. At that time, we were working with the USS Silversides. We continue our relationship with them as part of a World War II history course. And many people, that's where we began our relationship. For 3+ years, we had speakers and all kinds of wonderful things that came out of that synergy. So we've been very fortunate. One of our keystone trips, of course, is the Gettysburg trip. We've been going to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, the Gettysburg National Battlefield. We have gone there every year except one for the last, since 2010. So I think I know every pothole in Gettysburg, as well as every place somebody shot at somebody. Okay, other things that we have done, World War II lecture series, and of course, we do these talks. We have our wonderful venue downtown now, the Sturris Technology Center, the old Chronicle building. That is now ours. That historic lobby is our auditorium. And we've been giving talks and lectures and presentations there for the last 2 years. And we're very fortunate. Well, tonight, we have 2 other programs to briefly mention to you. Monday night, if you're in the neighborhood, in cooperation with the Center for Holocaust and Genocide Studies, we're going to have Dr. Guy Stern. Dr. Stern is a very unique person. He is a former professor, he's emeritus now, from Columbia University in foreign language and also from Wayne State University. But that's not why you know him. He is the last of a group of guys called the Ritchie Boys. The Ritchie Boys were German Jews that had gotten out of Germany in 1937-38, and they emigrated to the United States and served with our U.S. military as intelligence officers. He is one of a few handful that's left. He has some interesting things to talk about. And of course, as you know, we are celebrating the remembrance of the Holocaust as part of this, and we are really looking forward to being able to present Dr. Dr. Stern, who's one of the final Ritchie Boys, on Monday, 6:30 at Spring Lake Library. Tomorrow, if you want to see how government operates, we are also playing host to the Hispanic Latino Commission for Michigan. It's one of your government commissions from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Sturris Center. Drop in and see how government operates. But tonight, we're very fortunate. I have 2 collaborators, and we're in one beautiful place, aren't we? Yes, this is the Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church. They have been established here. They're going to be celebrating, their 100th anniversary soon. A few more years. Yeah, Father John Saclario is the presiding parish priest here. And I'm going to be joined by Kendall Trejo, who is a student of mine. Very bright young lady who will be doing part of the lecture this evening. Father John's credentials, University of Cincinnati graduate in computer science. Worked for the Kroger Company for a few years before he got the calling. Yeah. And a graduate of the Holy Cross Seminary in Brookline, Massachusetts. He has been this is his second course, started out in Buffalo, New York, and has happily been here the last 2 years, and we're very thrilled to have him as part of our community. And then Kendall Trejo is a student for Reese Puffer High School originally, and is in her 3rd year, I believe, at MCC, and will be finishing up shortly. And really a bright young lady, very fortunate to have her in our 102 history course. Okay, so our topic tonight is Byzantine, going the wrong way. Byzantine iconography, the symbolism, and early history of the church. And we're going to be doing a discussion on early Christianity, because a lot of people think it was, well, we're always fighting like gladiator games, and then all of a sudden we're accepted as a religion. And remember, this is not to proselytize tonight. This is a historical lecture. Why we're looking at this is the intersectionality of religion and history as part of a Western civilization course. We will be doing further lectures on other faiths. We're going to be spotlighting the Sikh religion at some point. We're going to be spotlighting the Catholic, Protestant faiths, Judaism. How many of you know that we have a synagogue in Muskegon? Few of you do. Good. Many people don't know that. So we will be exploring all of those things. All right, so let's set the time. Roman Empire, from 32 AD to about 800 ACE, and we say ACE, that's the new AD, it's after the Common Era. Make it more secular, same thing. Rome at its height, as part of the Roman Empire, really was composed of what today would be 25 different nations, modern nations, if we were to lay them on a map. 40 different ethnicities and cultures would have been part of that, which is amazing in terms of the size. Going from west to east, from Spain to Syria, essentially from almost Germany down to North Africa. One of the largest spanses for an empire ever noted. And it was very interesting because Rome had gone from a period of being a representative republic to now being an empire, which is a fancy word of saying dictatorship, run by Caesars and a cult of personality. So one of the things we want to look at is militarily, economically, and culturally, how did Rome deal with faith? And how did it merge? And here's an idea, just to give you the sense of the span of how large we're talking. Spain, of course, to the west, Syria to the east, Germany to the north, and then North Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, modern-day Egypt. Any further south, we're dealing with a desert anyway. One of the things we want to know is, secularly, the language, the governing language, or what we call the lingua franca, was probably Latin in the West, but more people in this empire probably spoke as a first language Greek. And you're going to say, well, why Greek? Well, it goes back to the fact that a few hundred years before, a Macedonian by the name of Alexander the Great had laid down the first empire. And there were some successive kingdoms after Alexander's death, including the Seleucids, the Ptolemaic, and the Antignode kingdoms, that dominated essentially this portion of the empire. Building on the concepts of philosophy, the arts, mathematics. They had pretty much taken the intellectual component. All the good things about academics probably came from the Hellenistic world and were embellished upon by the Romans. When the Romans conquered the Greeks and Macedonians, the most prized slaves were, of course, from Greece and Macedonia, and they were imported back to Rome. So it wasn't that they were foreign to them. Probably the best analogy today is what we see as the influx to our nation of people from Latin America, South America, and the predominance that we're seeing with the Spanish language creeping in and becoming part of American culture. Now, other things that we're going to have to take into account. The Romans were smart. And I have a little rule I tell my students. Now, they get tired of hearing George's rules or Mr. Maniotis's rules. But one of them is never fool with somebody's religion. People will tolerate a lot. You can fool with their economy. You can goof around with their governmental rule. But when you play with a person's religion, all you're going to do is irritate them. People don't like to be told what to believe. And when you push on people, what happens? They believe it even more. And they're going to show you how devout they are. And we usually can tell in periods of oppression, and you look at this, how this worked even under the communists of the last century, how they were clamping on religion, but yet people still continued to cling to their faith even if they had to do it in, what? Secret. And it became a rallying point for them to keep their faith and their faith traditions alive. The Romans usually didn't fool with people's religions. They had a definite respect for other people's cultures and religions. That's what made them good occupiers.